So as time is going on, I'm getting more and more. I don't know. I don't want to make it sound patronizing, but I'll say it anyways. I'm getting more and more proud of the Xbox community. You guys are now starting to behave in some cases, and I'll give you the credit, like gamers on PC and Steam, where you have an ecosystem that works for you, offers you a solid, valid proposition, and you don't feel the need to sit there and beg anybody for games. Now, there are still some Xbox fanboys who are sitting there going, oh, we can't get Spider-Man and we can't get The Last of Us and Days Gone on Xbox. It's like, will you shut up? I mean, in the nicest way possible. I'm just playing, but shut up. You know how you check your friend and whack them in the shoulder or in the back and be like, hey, man, will you stop it? I quit it, man. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And the reason I say that is because Xbox gamers are now in a position where they are comfortable. They have games. And it is this situation and this condition that has put them there. You see, Steam has been giving all this value all these years. They've been a meat shield. The value that Steam gives, and I've said this before, is the meat shield as a intermediary between the gamers, right, and the publisher. So that value can be found anywhere easily. Good Old Games is not just the intermediary, but they have taken the time to ensure that you have things like your backup files, your downloads. In fact, I've been downloading my 100 game Good Old Games library and putting it on, in quote, physical media. I'm putting it in a hard drive, and I'm going to sit there and stack up that same number of discs if I even have that much, just so that we can see how much physical media. And, it's kind of a fun gesture at the end of the day, right? But Xbox has come in with a different value proposition because this is what apparently gamers like. This is why gamers have stayed with Steam. This is why Amazon could not topple Steam over. I don't know if you guys saw that former Amazon executive that put a little post on LinkedIn a while back and said, we tried for 15 years to topple Steam, but we couldn't. We had the money, we had everything, but we just could not get close to them. Then people in the comment section started telling him the reason y'all couldn't do it is because you guys are not trusted. Nobody has, any kind of faith in you guys to not have basically screwed them over. And Steam sells consumer protection. Right now, Xbox sells entitlements. That's their value proposition. If you're in the Xbox system, you are entitled to a lot and much more. In fact, now, because of this condition, we're starting to see their business transform. More recently, we just got the news that the FTC has finally lost the appeal to stop the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal that already happened. The deal went through in 2023 after a court denied the FTC's request for an injunction. An appeals court today upheld that denial. This is crazy. A lot of people now are coming out to say, or put their own different, opinions out there. Oh, man, maybe this was a good thing. Maybe this was not a good thing and blah, 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 blah. I think Mr. Phil Spencer needs to take a very close look at Activision. It seems like a lot of their old ways are still, drizzling into the Xbox ecosystem. That is a criticism that I have for them. I'm seeing a lot of folk in the Call of Duty circle actually complain. But again, Call of Duty folk, just like this PlayStation fan or PlayStation Plus user said about people still being on PlayStation Plus, right? He says, yes, Game Pass is objectively better. This is a thread, and it may seem like it has no context, but I want to teach something from here. He said, but you're not going to buy an Xbox over it, and Sony knows that, so here we are. And that, individual is stating that y'all still buy the thing that you're complaining about. So, again, if you have complaints with Call of Duty, resist, I guess. Apparently, this appeal being lost, and, whatever the details are, blah, 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 it don't concern us, is now, basically everything is ratified. And guess who was shaking in their boots when this was all about to happen? It was PlayStation. They knew that something of some magnitude or nature was coming. And of this magnitude and nature, that they knew of something coming, they were talking and strategizing on how to deal with it. I've been looking at this document over years where they said that their business, this is PlayStation, was dated and behind the competition, where they said that premium content, the expectation of free, best-in-class games would create an unsustainable model for them. where they talked about the elusive perfect game subscription, one that they could not achieve, yet Xbox has already achieved it, found a way to sustain it, and is now building it bigger, better, and stronger. And people are looking at it and subscribing. And by the way, I mean, it's not just individuals on the, Xbox side. It's also individuals on the PlayStation side. I mean, literally, this is a 500 to 600 comment thread on Twitter where somebody is talking about how the difference in quality is so apparent, while people are responding with intricate comments as much as, man, I've already moved to Xbox Game Pass. I'm moving to Game Pass. And people saying things like, yep, we got the short stick. So even they themselves knew that they did not have a business model like this. And to be honest, the business model is not even something that was so hard to create. They simply could have just gone with the value proposition at the beginning of the whole thing, and now it would have probably worked out for them. So they decided to try a premium sales model is the central approach. That's where they messed up. A lot of the fans are like, we don't want to be cash cows. We're leaving. It's here. It literally is here. This particular blog is an interesting study in what is going on with gamers, right? So think about how it's all going down. Think about what's going on in the industry. Think about other firms like IN Games asking Xbox players, which games should we port to the Xbox? Xbox gamers tell them all, because Xbox gamers in many cases don't need to negotiate with developers anymore. Why? Because their platform of choice is now the platform of choice. It really is. And again, like I said, it's now becoming of the Xbox gamer to look at everybody else and say, well, I'm going to go back and play games because you have access to games. You have access to a proposition that is not just easily, taken for granted. You have access to a proposition that is not just easily achieved by anybody else, and it's available to you basically on a platter. So I have to say, Xbox gamers are now starting to see the work that Microsoft is doing. Now, remember, though, that there were detractors, and there still are detractors, who, when Microsoft decided that it was going to go ahead and take the approach of moving its games to PlayStation, that these detractors, they said all kinds of things. In some cases, some of them cussed out Phil Spencer. In some cases, some of them whined and cried and said, but once PlayStation gamers got a taste of the availability of games, right, on their own platform, and then they said, oh, these games are really cool. I wonder what Xbox gamers are doing there. And they found out, oh, crap. Xbox gamers need not spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Their perception, their thinking, their minds, and their brand loyalties started to get, questioned. They started to say, are we seeing that Xbox is going to now go ahead and cart over hundreds of dollars of video games in terms of the recent releases and just put it on their subscription for their gamers? At first, they thought this was a joke. They thought Game Pass was going to implode because, some fanboy was there in the comments and in their little, bubble telling them that Game Pass is unsustainable. That's what they were told, right? But then Xbox starts putting games of higher cost and higher quality on there, and they're like, yo, even if it's going to implode, my wallet's imploding being here with PlayStation, and they're trying to milk me. And they did the sensible thing. They picked up a calculator and they said, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And even those of us on PC, when we looked at Game Pass, it was already a no-brainer. We were like, this has got to be crazy. Let me tell you why I said this. You see, PC gamers are very patient. They will how they have these hunters that would literally, smoke out like prey, or they'll just, wait till the prey is all ready and not paying attention and all that. PC gamers will smoke out these publishers and make them behave themselves. Look at how they treated PlayStation. Do y'all remember that just a while ago, PlayStation was like, oh, you need a PlayStation Plus to sign in to play our games. That thing vaporized fast. You don't even see it here anymore. It used to be a big, huge thing. I think they still have it on Lego Horizon Adventures. Something like that. This game has it. There it is. PlayStation user account network, blah, 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 required. They were putting it on their new games. And then when Spider-Man was coming out and they found out nobody would touch their game, yikes. They said, you know what? We're gonna remove it for 4 games, and people are like, we don't care. You could leave it if you want. We're just not gonna buy your games. This mindset and this attitude, I think, is where I see the Xbox gamer moving as time goes on. But Xbox still has some, trash going on. And I got to tell you, even though I tell you that, Xbox is doing the market favors, there's still areas where Xbox could improve. For instance, right here, this $19.99 they're charging you for Game Pass Ultimate. They need to remove the online console piece of this. Xbox needs to just do that. Once they do it, they're gonna kill all their competition instantly. It's a $7 cost. It's quite expensive, right? Let's just say Ultimate users are 20 million, right? Times 7. It's $140 million. Come on, Microsoft. That's chump change. A year. Isn't it? Am I correct? Yeah. You'll see an increase in Game Pass Ultimate subscribers that will easily make this up, and a drastic shift to your ecosystem. I think they're slowly doing it in weird ways, but they really need to cut that. They need to cut that thing out, because that's where they're going to open up their market. And if they don't see it, then, they've been visionaries all this while, but there's only so much a person can see, right? And this is where I see the opportunity. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Peace out.